So 2025 was the year that the world of money turned upside down. Since you've been following crypto, you already know that this isn't just another cycle. There is a change in the generations. People who do these things don't just become rich, they become empires. The banks are now running to the front of the line, eager to get a piece of the action. These are the same banks that used to make fun of crypto and try to bury it. This is not advice about money. First, let's talk about what happened earlier this year. The OC dropped a bomb on March 7th. To be clear, they told banks straight out, you are now allowed to do crypto actions. The red tape gone. That was huge by itself. Then May 7th came around and they did it again. Now it's being said that you can do more than just touch crypto. You can also provide safekeeping and trading services. They pretty much rolled out the red carpet for all U.S. banks to start dealing with digital assets. Just when we thought it couldn't get any bigger, the FDI gave it the go-ahead. After that, the Fed did the same thing. 3 of the most important bank regulators in the U.S. just gave the go-ahead. You know, the game has changed because of how big this is. No longer do banks fight crypto with all their might. They were just given permission to play with crypto at the same table. Things get even stranger from here on out. Don't forget about Operation Chokepoint 2.0. What was that planned attack in the U.S. that almost killed crypto? The one that made banks shut down any business that dealt with digital stuff? It wasn't a mistake. That was an attack in every way. And Ripple was the largest company that was being watched. XRP was made to look like the bad guy. Still, after 4 years, Ripple has not only made it through, but is now competing with the biggest names in banking. Trust me, you'll understand why this fight is happening now once you know how much is at stake. There are papers, pictures, videos, and more in this package built to show you how the richest people in history find chances before they become popular. This is the kind of knowledge that sets successful people apart from those who don't want to turn small investments into lasting wealth. Get it now in the comment that has been saved. Thanks for reading. If you use my Robinhood link, you can get free NVDA stock worth up to $200 with just a $1 payment. Let us go back to Ripple. Ripple is still being attacked. Even though the crypto business has won a lot of new rules, you might think things would finally calm down now that the OC, FDIC, and FED have all said yes to crypto. Ripple is still getting hit hard all over the place. Why? Ripple is trying to get a license to be a bank. That's right. As you may remember, the SEC spent years trying to take Ripple to court. Now, the company is asking to become a full-fledged bank. This is very important. They aren't just trying to stay alive in the U.S. They want to be in charge. They want to change the way money moves in the U.S. and around the world. But, of course, there was pushback right away. Cody Carbone, CEO of the Digital Chamber, just put out a video that points this out. He said that crypto companies are still being shut down by banks, which needs to stop. He said this was like redlining in the present day. In the past, banks would not help people because of their race or where they lived. It's happening now in politics and tech. The government can cut you off from the banking system if they don't like you. One by one, gun companies, oil and gas companies, Trump businesses, and crypto companies have been put on a ban. That's why the Firm Act from Senator Scott is so strong for banks. Reputational danger is no longer a reason to turn down businesses. And both Democrats and Republicans in the House already back the bill. It's not just noise. Things are getting better. But now things get crazy. Even though the OC, FDIC, and FED are all on board, 42 banks are still trying to stop Ripple from getting a banking license. There is no plot here. This is written down. The 42 banks' official complaints were just sent in by the Bank Policy Institute, BPI. And these aren't the credit unions you find in small towns. Banks like JP Morgan, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Goldman Sachs are on the list. Basically, the group of big banks that have been in charge of money for many years, they are scared as well. This is because what Ripple is making doesn't just compete. It stops them from making money off of you. People are being drained by the old system. Right now, a fee is charged for every move your money makes, every overdraft, and every delay. That's the whole model they have. But Ripple's technology turns that around. Instant funds, no silly fees, and instant settlement around the world. The whole game will change overnight if Ripple gets that license. It's not just the BPI. The Independent Community Bankers of America, ICBA, which speaks for more than 5,000 banks, also sent in a protest. They are pleading with officials to turn down Ripple's trust bank charter. Why? Because Ripple's plan will change too much, be too destructive, and be too powerful. Ripple wants to open the Ripple National Trust Bank, which will handle blockchain payments, custody services, and the funds for their new cryptocurrency, Ripple stablecoin RLUSD. The ICBA says this goes far beyond what Congress meant for a trust bank charter, but the truth is that they're scared of how useful and game-changing it is. Take a look. It's not even like Ripple is trying to take deposits. It's against this code to do that. Their main focus is on stablecoin funds and blockchain payments. But that's already enough to send shockwaves through the system. Why? Because if Ripple builds this, it goes against the way banks make money, which is by charging high fees and slow payment. What's even stranger is this. These banks are saying out loud that Ripple's new ideas are too damaging. In their own filings, they say that Ripple's ideas could totally change the way money works. That's not spreading fear. Yes, that's proof. That alone should make you happy. Doesn't the fact that the biggest banks in the US want to stop Ripple tell you everything you need to know? That looks like the kind of technology that turns the world upside down, doesn't it? What's even more interesting is this. The BPI and ICBA are doing everything they can to stop Ripple from becoming a trust bank. But things are moving in the opposite direction. It's no longer possible for these banks to quietly kill new ideas behind closed doors. There are now too many eyes on this. Too many regulators, lawmakers, and even major news outlets are becoming aware of what's occurring. Also, let's be honest, Ripple isn't the same company it was when the SEC attacked it in 2020. They were still building and fighting for respect at that time. Today, Ripple is a well-known global giant with business clients all over the world. They work with Fortune 500 companies, central banks, and payment providers. Their tech has already been shown to work. Since Ripple is applying for a national trust bank license, it's not just a new company trying to make a name for itself. This company is already handling huge amounts of money across borders, making deals with businesses outside of the US, and creating a stable coin environment that regulators want. That's why there is so much pushback. When it comes to speed, these banks know they can't beat Ripple. They can't offer payment right away. If they get rid of the fees, it would hurt their ability to make money. They can only slow down Ripple, try to get officials to change things, and hope that the old system lasts a little longer. But that's not going to work. The world has moved on. That's the truth. Asia, the Middle East, and Europe are all places where Ripple is quickly becoming a part of their banking systems. The rest of the world isn't going to wait around, even if US banks are able to slow down Ripple in their own country. The US will have to follow the world standard once it is set. Remember how the internet first came out? At first, businesses and states tried to fight back. They said it was just a trend. They said it was too dangerous. They said it would not work. But as soon as adoption reached a certain point in other countries, everyone had to catch up. And that's exactly what's going on with XRP and Ripple right now. It's funny that the bank's actions are making the case for Ripple stronger. These groups show how threatened they are every time they make an objection, try to shut down crypto companies, or speak out against new ideas. In a way, they are telling everyone that Ripple is bad for their business plan. Get a better look at what Ripple is building with this trust bank. Their stablecoin, RLUSD, is meant to be fully backed and clear. Ripple is different from other stablecoin players because it has the infrastructure and regulatory ties to do this right. That means that big businesses, banks, and even governments can trust Ripple's stablecoin to be used for real-world payments. Imagine that Ripple National Trust Bank is in charge of keeping those assets safe. Imagine that they handled savings in a way that was so clear that it would make regular banks look bad. That is not only upsetting, it is new. That move makes everyone else change. Also, don't forget about the time. When it comes to money, stable coins are about to become one of the hottest topics. Since the U.S. government has shown support for stablecoin laws, the demand is about to go through the roof. Corporations will need partners they can trust to handle compliance, payments, and care. Ripple is getting ready to be that partner. What do the banks have to offer in the meantime? When you go overdrawn, you have to pay $35. It also takes 3 days to send money across borders with this old method that didn't work in 2008. Is that system really going to last when there is a faster, cheaper, and more open option right there? The best part is now here. Government officials are being used by banks to stop Ripple, but they are also the ones who just made crypto banking possible. In March and May, the OC, the FDIC, and the FED didn't just say those things. They know how this will end. They know that digital money is the way of the future. They're not going to ban Ripple for all time. There is a fight between two eras. The old guard who wants to keep their power and the new system which is being built right in front of our eyes. And we can see from history that this is always how things turn out. The new method always comes out on top. Take a look at the bank's past. They were not able to stop PayPal. It was impossible to stop Venmo. They were unable to stop Cash App or Square. They were not able to stop Bitcoin. They lose every time they try to stop new ideas. Ripple isn't just another app or way to pay. The new Internet of Value is built on top of Ripple. That is 1,000,000 times bigger than anything we've seen before. Let's talk about how people are feeling about what's going on. When JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs fight against Ripple, they're not just trying to save money. It's because they're scared, not wanting to lose power. They are afraid of a world where rules don't come from them. Fear of not being important anymore. As for fear, this level of fear is the best sign that the chaos is real. Let's be honest, they wouldn't care about Ripple if it wasn't a threat. They didn't want to spend money on politicians. They wouldn't get groups like the BPI and ICBA to work together. They wouldn't make officials work so hard. You already know everything you need to know because they're doing all of this. Also, think about how beautiful this is. People said for years that Ripple would never be a real cryptocurrency project because it was too controlled, too businesslike, and too friendly with banks. Bitcoin maximalists made fun of it. Some people said it would never win. But here we are with Ripple being so bad that the world's biggest banks are making it their #1 enemy. That turns the whole story on its head because the banks would be happy with Ripple if it was really safe and just another controlled project. They would try to work with it instead of trying to stop it. They are trying to hide it, which shows that Ripple's technology is much more harmful to their business model than anyone wanted to accept. This is the part that no one is talking about. The fight is already over, even if Ripple's Trust Bank application is turned down. Why? This is because the complaints are open to the public. It's clear that these huge banks are scared of Ripple. That is proof you can't miss. Now, we know for sure that the damage is real. At the same time, Ripple's growth around the world keeps going, has to do with Asian business hubs, having partnerships with companies that send money to Africa, getting involved with European organizations. It's no longer just a U.S. story. This is worldwide. The U.S. banks won't be able to stop the world system once it's set up. They'll have no choice but to join. In other words, what we're seeing isn't just another fight over regulations. It's the end of an old monopoly. A system that has been in place for more than 100 years is falling apart. It's taking place right now in real time with Ripple at the heart of everything. This makes even more sense when you zoom out even more. This is how every big change in history has looked. The machine that prints World Wide Web, cell phones, the old forces fight it with everything they have at first. They make things hard to do. They scream about dangers. They try to get rid of it through the law. Then when it gets too strong to ignore, they rush to accept it. The same is true for Ripple and XRP. Right now, there is a lot of pushback. There are threats all the time, but the progress can't be stopped. That's because this is the future, no matter how hard the banks try to fight it. Nick Blackwood wrote a great post about it not long ago. They want Ripple to be banned, he said. That means you're past the mark. That is the truth. People who are after you will spend millions to bury you because they know they can't beat you. Ripple isn't going to stop either. In a digital market, their whole plan is to change the way money moves. And if they succeed, the bank's whole business will fall apart. Now think about what that means for people who invest. The banks are making it clear where the pressure point is. They are not putting all this effort into shutting down random altcoins. Their attention is on Ripple. They are interested in XRP. The XRPPL environment is important to them because they know it will hurt their bottom line. Ripple turns that around. You don't have to wait 3 days for settlement. You get payment almost right away. That's right. You don't have to pay sky-high fees to send money abroad. A blockchain ledger makes things clear so you always know where your money is. This is better than methods that aren't clear. That's the real danger. Not to us, to them. These things become clearer as time goes on. Ripple may have problems in the US, but the world stage is open for business. Not every country has the same problems. They don't have huge banking groups that spend billions of dollars to keep power. When technology works, they're much more likely to use it. That's why Ripple has already made such big moves in other countries. Let's go back to 2008 for a minute. The world financial collapse did more than just wake people up. It shone a bright light on how badly the system works. Banks bet with people's savings and played games with their money. When everything went wrong, the government bailed them out. Everyday people, they lost their jobs, homes, and retirement funds. The banks knew what they needed to do. They are always saved, no matter how careless they are. Now, let's go to today. The same group of businesses is scared of Ripple. And isn't that beautiful? People who caused the last crisis are now scared that they will lose all control of the system. There has never been a better time for a big change than now. Don't forget that change always looks like a mess at first. But history doesn't remember the people who fought back. History will remember the big step forward. And Ripple is right where all the pressure, energy, and pushback come together. That's not a bad sign. That's the very best sign you could get. You know you found something good when banks try this hard to shut it down. You know that the new idea is too strong to ignore. That's why the fight over Ripple's banking license is so important. They have a good opponent, which shows that the technology is changing the world even if they don't win. The truth is out there for everyone, even the doubters. Think about the Bitcoin maximalists who have made fun of XRP for years. They said it would never work. They said it would never be as strong as Bitcoin. But here's the truth. Big banks and other financial companies are not spending money to fight Bitcoin. They are battling Ripple. They are against XRP. They are against the XRPPL community. That tells you everything you need to know. You can see the design when you zoom out. They don't pay attention to you at first, then laugh at you, then fight you, and that's when you win. It has made it through the first 3 rounds. It's time to fight. That means the win is almost certain, but no one wants to accept it. Now, things really start to get exciting. Just think about what will happen if Ripple does get that banking license. Imagine that Ripple National Trust Bank is in charge of keeping digital assets safe, handling RLUSD reserves, and making global payments possible on-chain. It's not just another bank. That's a whole new set of banking systems being built right in the US. Adoption goes through the roof after that. Once a lot of people start using XRP, the price goes through the roof. We're looking at that setup right now. Pressure from every direction, resistance at every level, but forward motion that can't be stopped. Ripple isn't just another cryptocurrency company either. When all is said and done, they are an important part of the new financial age. The biggest banks in the world spent a lot of time and money trying to stop Ripple. If it wasn't a threat, why would they do it? If it didn't matter, why would they stop groups that represent more than 5,000 banks from doing anything? If they didn't want to slow down Ripple, why would they risk getting people's attention on it? It's easy to say Ripple is the real deal. They know it deep down, and you should know it if they do. Thus, now is the time to concentrate, pay attention, and take action to fully grasp how these changes present chances. When the banking system goes through this kind of big change, it doesn't just make waves, it makes a lot of